Good day and welcome to this Focus on Special with me, Dewald Rademacher. Africa Oil Week, the annual platform that provides an opportunity to connect some of the biggest oil and gas companies to regulators and government officials to evaluate Africa's role in the oil and gas sector, came to a close in early October. I spoke to some key individuals to gain insights on the oil and gas explorations, the value of the research done during explorations, and the investment landscape. Take a look. What technology are you using for your explorations?
Okay, thank you for having me. Essentially, in exploration, you rely on seismic. You also rely on some of the de-risking tool like control source electromagnetics. You rely on quite a lot. You rely on processing technology that has been advancing over time through seismic, that relies on seismic. Then on drilling, on drilling safe, a lot of, is a whole gamut of things, but I'll just put them in buckets for you in the drilling space, in the seismic space, in the imaging space. Those are the kind of technology you rely on essentially.
I can also imagine you rely on that data to help you with your exploration strategies. And I also understand that you had a presentation yesterday, but I want to just focus a little bit on your exploration strategies that you see going forward.
Okay, for lake oil, just to talk about lake oil is he's been in this space for about 13 years now. So we decided to go off the traditional Niger Delta, where everybody just kind of focused on. So we decided to go off that common zone and go to the Dahomey Basin. And bang, we found 1 billion barrels. And another big billion barrels, multi-billion barrels is on the way. So that's the kind of strategy, Look where everybody hasn't looked before and find something different. Look at it from a paradigm shift,
Now I can imagine that is actually going to help Africa to fill that oil production gap, because Saudi Arabia has cut the production in June, and I believe they're going to cut more of that oil production. Will strategies like this help advance Nigeria to output more oil?
Well, yes, in a way, because first, before you go to production, you have to first explore, develop, then produce. So like you said, in Saudi Arabia, production is the business of today. Now, the dynamics of that is that you have to have your back end secure. So for Africa, what Lake Oil is doing is building the solid energy resource in fossil fuel to sustain us for tomorrow. We need that reserves, the resources base, to do that. And that's the value of what we've come, to say in the conference.
As we bring the conversation to a close, I just want to get some key takeouts of the presentation you had yesterday, some of the key feedback that you've received.
Surprise. People were surprised. People get refreshed by, Lake Oil, you're doing it again. Because we did it in Ogo 2013, and we're telling the next big thing, so everybody is anxious, surprised, anxious, and forward-looking.
What do you do with that data? And does that data or that research help companies to gain licensing when it comes to gas and oil exploration?
Okay. Yeah, so we gather exploration historical data, the number of wells that have been drilled historically by E&P companies. And for companies looking at new country entries, that information gives them better understanding on the analogs, on wells that have been drilled, and then it enables them to understand where they should be going after and to acquire licenses in new emerging basins.
And also you had a presentation yesterday and you spoke about LNG versus domestic. Help me understand, what is it that you mean by that?
So LNG, liquefied natural gas, there's a lot of LNG on the continent, big LNG projects in Nigeria, in Angola, in Equatorial Guinea. But there's been that challenge of, pushing for the gas to power market, gas going into industries and industrializing Africa. So the question that came up during the conversation is, how do you get the balance right? It's kind of like relatively easy for companies to do big LNG projects, and we see FLNG projects coming into play in Mozambique too, and Mauritania, Senegal. But the challenge has always been the gas to domestic market, to power Africa. And what we discussed during the conference is, how do you get a robust value chain for gas to power, gas to the domestic market? Because it seems that policies and the framework that have been in place is not integrated enough. You know, we still have issues around commercial upstream gas pricing, we have issues around infrastructure deficits, and we also have concerns with how robust the power sector is on the continent. Is the transmission and distribution infrastructure good enough? And is there liquidity to ensure that whoever is supplying the gas into the domestic market will get paid? So Africa and governments need to think about how they work better and how they collaborate with operators to ensure that the value chain for delivering gas into the domestic market is robust enough. Because for the gas to LNG value chain, the oil and gas companies understand the upstream, they own the infrastructure, and they are also players on the LNG side. But they have limited control on the gas to power value chain. So they need to collaborate with the government, and holistic policies need to be put in place to ensure that, you know, these projects are bankable and can attract finance to push them forward.
As we bring this conversation to a close, and you've now mentioned something that we've heard a few times, it's bankable projects.
Correct.
What is it that Africa can do to fill that energy gap, that much needed energy gap? As a lot of Africans still struggle to gain access to your most basic energy source.
Yeah. I think it's a combination of a number of factors. The governments need to put in place the regulatory framework, the policies in place, and I think if you have that above ground issue addressed, and you know the right technical subsurface is in place, then the investment would come. But the governments need to be on the front foot here. They need to ensure that, you know, the enabling environment has been created for companies to come and invest.
I want to get an understanding what the investment village is about.
Okay, so the Energy Investment Village was conceptualized by Hive and by our partners. Our partners are the Saldanha Bay Innovation Campus, it's Reese, and ANZA Capital. So the Green Energy Africa Summit provides a global platform for a live deal pitching event called the Energy Investment Village.
Now, before I get to the winner, I want to understand, this is your second year in running doing this investment platform. From a general perspective, what are some of the criteria you noticed that the judges are looking out for from the participants?
Well, what I can tell you is that we are looking for innovative clean energy technologies or innovative clean projects, anything that falls under green energy. And we've seen quite a few of that come through. Last year we had 10 finalists, and this year we had 10 finalists, but we've had lots of applications. So we're looking for projects that have come off the ground for, let's say, the last 1 maybe to 3 years. We're looking for companies that are fully compliant, not necessarily a going concern, because obviously these guys are looking for grant funding, they are looking for assistance with manufacturing, that kind of thing. So we've got some amazing projects come through over the last 2 years, and we're looking to grow this throughout Africa.
Who was this year's winner?
This year's winner was a company called Green Share. Fantastic company. They do a peer-to-peer energy trading platform, and they created a virtual plant ensuring grid stability. Fantastic company.
And as we bring this conversation to a close, this is not a quick applicant process. It's a long process. When does this application open?
We'll be opening the Energy Investment Village applications for 2024 probably in February or March next year. It's quite a comprehensive process, and it's an absolute pleasure to run, I must tell you. And we are proud to be able to provide this global platform for the entrepreneurs. But it's quite a rigorous process. Everyone is screened. Everyone has got to comply in the countries in which they operate, and it spans over about 6 months, and then the final showcase happens here at the Green Energy Africa Summit.
And that's how we wrap up Africa Oil Week for 2023. Even though investors earmark funding towards cleaner energy, oil and gas still remains a big contributor to Africa's economy. It also shows that Africa has the resources to remain competitive on a global scale and still remains attractive for foreign direct investment. This brings us to the end of this Focus On Special, and until next time, goodbye.